difficulty in swallowing. That is the mucosal diverticulum is called as the Jenker's diverticulum. How the mucosal diverticulum forms? Because of the increased pharyngeal pressure due to the incoordinations of the nerve supply. In normal cases, there is no pharyngeal diverticulum. But when there is a incoordinations between the nerve supply, the pharyngeal pressure increase, and you know the weak part of the pharynx is the dehiscence of the Killian. That is in between the thyropharyngeus and the cricopharyngeus part. Yes or no? Muscles of the pharynx. It is arranged in the two layers. Outer is Shreya Rizal.
Yes, ma'am.
Muscles in the pharynx. There is a muscles.
Constrictor muscle and longitudinal muscle layer, ma'am.
Muscles and the constrictor muscles. Longitudinal muscles. There are 3 in number. Can you name those muscles?
Longitudinal muscle, stylopharyngeus, salpingopharyngeal, and palatopharyngeal, ma'am. Superior constrictor, middle constrictor, and inferior constrictor muscle.
So what is the function of the longitudinal muscle and the constrictor muscle?
Function of longitudinal muscle is to elevate the larynx and pharynx during swallowing. And उसको muscle का नाम पे
The constrictor muscle, longitudinal elevates and shortens the pharynx. Elevates the larynx, shortens the pharynx. And constrictor muscles, it has a
propels the bowels of the food down into the esophagus.
Propulsive action. Now today's topic is the parotid gland. Parotid gland. So today we are going to study the parotid gland. Parotid gland is the accessory digestive organs. Salivary gland, you know the salivary gland. Then what are the different parts of the accessory digestive organs? What are the different parts of the structures forms the accessory digestive organs?
Liver, pancreas,
Gallbladder,
salivary glands,
teeth, and tongue.
salivary glands, and teeth. Masticatory apparatus, which includes the tongue and the teeth. So today we are going to study the parotid gland. Parotid gland is one of the largest salivary gland. Parotid gland is the largest salivary gland. See, salivary glands, there are 3 major salivary glands and the numerous minor salivary glands. Major salivary glands. In this diagram, okay, see in this diagram there is the parotid gland. See, here it is the parotid gland. Arrow to देखिरहेछ नि है? Arrow छ नि हैन?
Yes, ma'am.
Parotid gland, submandibular gland, and this is the sublingual gland. Parotid gland, submandibular gland, and the sublingual glands are the 3 major salivary glands. There are 3 major salivary glands. They are arranged in pairs. They are parotid gland, submandibular gland, and sublingual gland. Parotid gland is the largest gland among the salivary gland. Which one is the largest salivary gland? Parotid gland. And this parotid gland, it is rest on the fascia, parotid fascia, which forms the mold or the bed for the parotid gland. Parotid gland. And so what is the boundary of the parotid region? Parotid region means it is nothing, it is only the fascial space. It is a fascial space. Fascial space which forms the mold or the bed for the parotid gland. So what is the boundary of that parotid region? Anterior is the posterior border of ramus of mandible. Posterior border of ramus of mandible. See, anterior is the posterior border of ramus of mandible. Posteriorly is the mastoid process and sternocleidomastoid muscle. Above is the external acoustic meatus. Below is the posterior belly of the digastric muscle. See here. Where does the parotid gland lodge? It lies in the parotid region. Parotid region. What is the boundary of the parotid region? Anteriorly is the ramus of mandible. Posterior border of ramus of mandible. Posteriorly is the mastoid process and sternocleidomastoid muscle. Inferiorly is the posterior belly of digastric muscle. Inferiorly is the posterior belly of the digastric muscles along with the stylohyoid ligament. Above is the external acoustic meatus. So normally the parotid gland, it is present below of the or the inferior to the external acoustic meatus. Understood? Parotid gland, where it is present? It is present on either side of the face, inferior, below of the external acoustic meatus. External acoustic meatus. So there are three pairs of the major salivary glands. They are arranged in pairs. They are the two parotid glands, two submandibular glands, two sublingual glands, and their functions is to secrete the saliva in the oral cavity. Parotid gland. It rests on the parotid region, and boundaries of the parotid region is clear. Anterior is the ramus of mandible. Above is the external acoustic meatus. Posteriorly is the styloid process and the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Inferiorly is the posterior belly of digastric muscle. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Parotid gland, it is the largest of the three paired salivary gland. Which is the largest salivary gland? Parotid. And its shape is like a inverted pyramid. Inverted pyramid which lies below of the external acoustic meatus. External acoustic meatus. And the weight of the parotid gland, it is about the 25 grams. 25 grams. And this parotid gland, it is covered by the capsule. They are the true and the false capsule. They are true and the false capsule. True capsule, it is formed by the condensation of the fibrous stroma of the gland. See, true capsule, how true capsule is formed? It is formed by condensation of the fibrous stroma of the gland. And the false capsule, it is formed by the splitting layer of the deep cervical fascia. True capsule, it is formed by the condensation of the fibrous stroma of the gland. False capsule, it is formed by the splitting layer of the deep cervical fascia. This false capsule, it splits to enclose the parotid gland. Okay, this capsule, it splits to enclose the parotid gland. Who is making sound? See, false capsule, it is splits and enclose the parotid gland. So it has the two layers. False capsule has the two layers, superficial layer and the deep layer. Superficial layer, it forms the parotidomasseteric fascia, and the superficial fascia of the false capsule is strong. And deep, you are understanding? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
The
Ma'am, ये false capsule को फिर एक सीटी बनी.
False capsule has the two layers. See, false capsule, it splits to enclose the parotid gland. Okay, false capsule, it splits to enclose the parotid gland. So it has the two layers. One is the superficial layer, other is the deep layer. Superficial layer and the deep layer. Deep layer is the weak layer, whereas the superficial layer is the strong layer. It is formed and it forms the parotidomasseteric fascia. Superficial layer, it is also called as the parotidomasseteric fascia. Whereas the deep layer is the weakest layer and it forms the thickening of the deep layer of the false capsule, it forms the stylomandibular ligament. So stylomandibular ligament, it is the modifications of deep layer of the false capsule of parotid gland. Understood? Superficial layer, it is also called as the parotidomesenteric fascia. It is strong, whereas the deep layer, it modifies, or there is the thickening of the deep layers of the false capsules to forms the stylomandibular ligament. So how stylomandibular ligament is formed? It is formed by the thickening of the deep layers of the false capsule of parotid gland, and the functions are the, see here is the attachment in the angle of the mandible. There is the attachment of the stylomandibular ligament, and this stylomandibular ligament, it forms a partitions between the parotid gland and the submandibular gland. Stylomandibular ligament, it is at its origin, it is from the styloid process, and it is attached on the angle of the mandible. And this stylomandibular ligament, it forms a partition between the parotid gland and the submandibular gland. So what are the presenting parts of the parotid gland? We said that the gland, it is a inverted pyramidal shape or the triangular in shape, which lies inferior to the external acoustic meatus, See here, this region, it is called as the parotid region. On the parotid region rests the parotid gland. Boundary is the anterior is the ramus of the mandible. Above is the external acoustic meatus. Posterior is the
Sternocleidomastoid muscle and the styloid process.
sternocleidomastoid muscle and the mastoid process. Inferior is the posterior belly of the digastric muscle. Belly of the digastric muscle. So this is the boundary of the parotid region where there is a lodgement of the parotid gland. It is inverted pyramidal shape. So being the triangular shape, it has a base and the apex. Base or the upper surface, it lies below of the external acoustic meatus. It lies inferior to the external acoustic meatus is the base. So it has a base or the upper surface. Apex, it is directed towards the cervical region. Apex, and has three borders. Anterior border towards the mandible is the anterior border. Towards the sternocleidomastoid muscle is the posterior border, and in the middle of the parotid gland is the medial border. So it has the three borders: anterior, posterior, and the medial border, and three surfaces. Towards the skin, it is the superficial surface or the lateral surface. And on the medial surface, this medial surface, it is divided into the two, anteromedial surface and the posteromedial surface by this medial border. See, medial surface has one border is the medial border. That medial border divides the medial surface into the anteromedial surface and the posteromedial surface. So presenting parts of the parotid glands are the apex, base or the superior upper surface. The same portion is the superficial or the lateral surface. Opposite to the superficial surface is the medial surface. That medial surface, it is divided into the anteromedial surface and the posteromedial surface by the medial border, then the anterior border and the posterior border. Anterior border, it is a partition between the anterior border, it is a partition between which surfaces?
Superficial surface and anterior
medial surface. Posterior border?
Superficial surface and the posterior medial surface.
And medial border is the junction between the anterior
medial and the posterior medial surfaces.
Now the relations of the apex. See, here it is the apex. Apex, it is near to the cervical region or near to the posterior belly of the digastric muscle. Posterior belly of the digastric muscles. So what are the relations of the apex? They are the cervical branch of the facial nerve. Cervical branch of the facial nerve. Anterior division, anterior and the posterior division of the retromandibular vein and the external jugular vein. These are the relations of apex of parotid gland. See, if you know this diagram, then it is easy for you to remember the relations of the parotid gland. See, apex. Apex, it is related with the cervical branch of the facial nerve, anterior and the posterior division of the retromandibular vein and external jugular vein. These are the relations of the apex of parotid gland. Cervical branch of the facial nerve, then the anterior and the posterior division of the retromandibular vein, external jugular vein. These are the relations of the apex. Then base. What is the relations of the base? See, temporal branch of the facial nerve, superficial temporal basals, and the auriculotemporal nerve. Relations of the base. Temporal branch of the facial nerve, superficial temporal basals, and the auriculotemporal nerve. These are the relations of the base or the upper surface, which lies inferior to the external acoustic meatus. Base. Relations of the base is the temporal branch of the facial nerve, superficial temporal basals, and the auriculotemporal nerve. And here it is the anterior border. So what is the relations of the anterior border? See, it is written here. Zygomatic nerve, transverse facial artery, upper buccal nerve, lower buccal nerve, and in between the upper and the lower buccal nerve, presence in the accessory parotid gland, if it is present, accessory parotid gland, parotid duct, and the marginal mandibular nerve. Marginal mandibular nerve. So these are the relations of the anterior border of the parotid gland. Zygomatic nerve, transverse facial artery, upper and the lower buccal nerves, accessory parotid gland if it is present, parotid duct, and marginal mandibular nerve. Posterior border relations of the posterior border, they are the posterior auricular basals and the posterior auricular nerve. Posterior border relations, posterior auricular basals and the posterior auricular nerve. Anterior border relations, zygomatic nerve, which is the branch of the facial nerve, transverse facial basals, upper and the lower buccal nerves. These are also the branches of the facial nerve, accessory parotid duct, and the gland if it is present, parotid duct, and the marginal mandibular branch of the facial nerve. Posterior border relations, posterior auricular branch of the facial nerve and the posterior auricular basals. Posterior auricular basals and the posterior auricular nerve. Posterior auricular nerve and the posterior auricular basals. Now superficial or the lateral surface. So lateral surface, as it is directed towards the skin. Now the superficial surface. Superficial surface or the lateral surface. Relation is the skin, then the superficial fascia. The superficial fascia, it consists of the parotid lymph nodes, superficial group of the parotid lymph nodes and the branches of the great auricular nerve. And this great auricular nerve, it supplies the skin over the mandible. Skin over the mandible, it is supplied by the great auricular nerve. And the superficial lamella of the parotid sheath or the parotidomasseteric fascia. This parotidomasseteric fascia or the parotid sheath, it is formed by, see, false capsules has the two layers, superficial and the deep layer. Superficial layer, it forms the parotid sheath or the parotidomasseteric fascia. and the deep layers, it thickens to forms the which ligament? Now the anteromedial surface, see, anteromedial surface. So this group, this deep group part is the anteromedial surface. So anteromedial surface, it is related with ramus of mandible, masseter muscle, medial pterygoid muscle, then the facial nerve and the maxillary artery. Maxillary artery. It is a terminal branch of the external carotid artery. The superficial maxillary artery, it is a terminal branch of the external carotid artery. So anteromedial surface, it is related with posterior border of ramus of mandible near to the insertion of the masseter muscle. Posterior inferior part of the masseter muscles. Then the medial pterygoid muscle. In addition, it transmits the facial nerve, and the terminal branch of the external carotid artery is the maxillary artery. Maxillary artery. So these are the relations of the anteromedial surface. And posteromedial surface, see, these are the structures related with the posteromedial surface. So posteromedial surface, it is related with mastoid process. See, here it is the mastoid process, posterior belly of the digastric muscle, sternocleidomastoid muscle, transverse process of atlas, internal carotid artery, internal jugular vein. In between the internal carotid artery and the internal jugular vein runs the 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th cranial nerves. Anteriorly is the internal carotid artery, posteriorly is the internal jugular vein. In between is the last four cranial nerves. They are the glossopharyngeal, 9 glossopharyngeal, 10th vagus, 11th accessory and 12th hypoglossal nerves. See, posteromedial relations. Mastoid process along with the posterior belly of the digastric muscle and sternocleidomastoid muscle. Transverse process of the atlas. Transverse process of the atlas. See, this is the styloid process along with its muscle. Styloid process with its three muscles, stylohyoid, styloglossus and the stylopharyngeus. Styloglossus, stylopharyngeus and the stylohyoid muscles. These are the three muscles which arise from the styloid process. And vessels are the internal carotid artery, anteriorly, posteriorly is the internal jugular vein, and in between this internal carotid artery and the internal jugular vein is the 9th, 10th, 11th and the 12th cranial nerves. Now what are the processes of the gland? Processes means the projections of the parotid gland. Parotid gland, you know, it lodges in the parotid region. If it is extend beyond this parotid region, they are called as the processes of the gland. See how many processes of the gland means if the gland it extends beyond the parotid region, they are called as the processes of gland. There are 5 processes of the gland are present. They are named as the facial process, as and the pre and the post styloid process. Sometimes the structure within the gland may be asked. What structure are present within the parotid gland, from inside outward or the outside inward? They are the from outside inward is the facial nerve and its branches. Facial nerve and its branches, then the retromandibular vein, external carotid artery. These are the structure present within the gland from outside inward. From outside inward, the structure present in the gland are the facial nerve and its branches, retromandibular vein, and the external carotid artery. Parotid gland has a parotid dog. to power their secretion into the oral cavity. So this parotid duct, it is formed by the two vertical duct in the gland. Two vertical duct, upper and the lower vertical duct, fused in the anterior border to form the parotid duct. And this parotid duct, it is also called as the Stensen's duct. The other name for the parotid duct is the Stensen's duct. How parotid duct is formed? The upper and the lower vertical ducts. They fused and forms the parotid duct on the anterior border of the parotid gland. Anterior border of the parotid gland. See, here this is the anterior border of the parotid gland. This parotid gland has a numerous acini. Acini has the ductules, numerous ductules fused and forms the upper and the lower vertical duct. Ductules fuse to forms the duct, upper and the lower vertical duct. They fuse at the anterior border of the parotid gland and emerges the parotid duct. Parotid duct. See, this green color is the parotid duct. Parotid duct, its length it is about the 5 centimeter. 5 centimeter. It is also called as the Stensen's duct. Don't confuse. Stensen's duct or the parotid duct, it is same. Where does the parotid duct open? Where?
Vestibule.
Crown of the upper second incisor, please.
Yes. The parotid duct, it is Stensen's duct or the parotid duct, it is 5 centimeter in length and 3 millimeter in width. So here in this diagram, it is clearly visible that it arises from the anterior border of the parotid gland. Parotid duct, it arises from the anterior border of the parotid gland and it passes forward on the masseter muscle. So here it is the masseter muscle between the upper and the lower buccal nerves. Parotid duct, it is present in between the upper and the lower buccal nerves. In between the upper and the lower buccal nerves. Passes forward on the masseter muscles. And at the anterior border of this masseter muscle, it turns medially and pierces the buccal pad of fat. It pierces the buccal pad of fat. From there, it passes obliquely forward in between the buccinator and mucous membrane of the cheek, where it opens on the vestibule. Opposite of upper second molar tooth. Opposite of the crown of upper second molar tooth. So this is the course of the parotid duct or the Stensen's duct. See, from this diagram, it is clearly shown that the course of the parotid duct. First, it arises from the anterior border of the parotid gland. Then it rests on the masseter muscles. It runs forward and at the anterior border of the masseter muscles, it turns medially and pierces the buccal pad of fat. After the piercing the buccal pad of the fat, it turns medially. In between the buccinator muscle and the mucous membrane of the cheek, where it enters the vestibule. Lateral wall of the vestibule, opposite of the crown of the upper second molar tooth. So here, what is this? See, this arrow structure is the, what is this?
External acoustic meatus.
And posteriorly, this projection is the mastoid process.
Mastoid process. Yes, ma'am.
And this arch is the zygomatic arch. And here it is the ramus of the mandible. Now the blood supply. Arterial supply by the branches of the external carotid artery. External carotid artery supplies the parotid gland venous drainage. It is drained into the external jugular vein. External carotid artery is the arterial supply. External jugular vein is the venous drainage of the parotid gland, and lymphatic drainage, it drains on the parotid lymph nodes. finally it drains in the cervical lymph nodes. Cervical lymph nodes. Now the node supply of the parotid gland. Parotid gland, it is supplied by the sympathetic nodes and the parasympathetic nodes. Sympathetic and the parasympathetic nodes. Sympathetic and the parasympathetic nodes. These are secretomotor to the glands. These are secretomotor to the glands. On the stimulations of the sympathetic nerve, it produces the mucus. It produces the thick mucus on the stimulations of the sympathetic nerves. It secretes the mucus, whereas on the stimulations of the parasympathetic nerves, it produces the watery secretion. Watery secretion. See, parasympathetic stimulations, it releases the watery secretions, whereas on the stimulations of the sympathetic, it releases the viscous mucus. Viscous mucus. In addition, the sympathetic nerves, it also provides the vasomotor to the gland. Sympathetic and the parasympathetic secretomotor to the glands. In addition, the sympathetic, it is also vasomotor to the glands. Vasomotor to the glands. So, what is the pathway for the sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nerves? Pathway. How it reaches the parotid gland. So, there should be the pathway, there is the course. So, the preganglionic fibers of the parasympathetic nervous system, it arises from the inferior salivatory nucleus of medulla oblongata. Inferior salivatory nucleus of medulla oblongata, and it passes successively through the tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve, tympanic plexus, lesser petrosal nerve, and it finally reaches the otic ganglion. Otic ganglion. From there, postganglionic fiber arise, and the postganglionic fibers, it passes or it reaches the parotid gland via the auriculotemporal nerve. What is ganglion? See, you know the sympathetic and the parasympathetic has the two fibers, preganglionic and the postganglionic fibers. Preganglionic fibers has to relay on the ganglion. From there, the postganglionic fibers arise and reaches the glands. In the first year in the autonomic nervous system, we have studied. So, what is the pathway for the parasympathetic nervous system of the parotid gland? How the fibers arise? Its origin, parasympathetic fibers, preganglionic fibers of the parasympathetic nervous system, it arises from the inferior salivatory nucleus, and it passes successively through the tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve, tympanic plexus, lesser petrosal nerve, and relay in the otic ganglion. Otic ganglion. From the otic ganglion, postganglionic fibers arise, and that postganglionic fibers is the auriculotemporal nerve, which supplies the parotid gland. Histology of the parotid gland. Parotid gland, it is totally serous. Parotid gland, it is totally the serous. Serous means it is made up of mucous cells or the serous cell. Parotid gland, the histology of the parotid gland, it is covered by the capsule, and that capsule, it sends a septa and divides the gland into the different lobules and the lobes. That lobes, it consists of the acini, numerous acini. These acini, they are made up of the pyramidal cells, serous cells, which functions is to secrete the fluid towards the oral cavity. And parotid gland, it is completely serous, whereas the submandibular is the mixed. It has a mucus as well as the serous acini. Mucus as well as the serous acini. Whereas the sublingual gland, it is mostly the mucus in nature. See, serous cells, it take a stain, whereas the mucus cells, it does not take stain. Because of that reason, it appears empty. It appears as a vacuoles. Parotid gland is a completely serous. Sublingual, completely mucus. And submandibular gland is mixed gland, partly serous and the partly mucus. Inflammations of the parotid gland results the mumps. Mumps means what? Mumps. Clinical anatomy of the parotid gland. Mumps is the infection of the parotid gland caused by the myxovirus. Caused by the myxovirus or the mumps virus. And there is one clinical condition is the Fraze syndrome. Fraze syndrome. Please read about the Fraze syndrome. Okay. Next time I will ask. Fraze syndrome. You will read or not? Fraze syndrome. F-R-E-Y apostrophe S syndrome. Okay, any questions related to the parotid gland? Parotid gland.
म्याम त्यो पासवर्ड एकचोटि फेरि भनिदिनु न प्यारासिम्पेथेटिक
प्यारासिम्पेथेटिकको यता हेर है प्यारासिम्पेथेटिकमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ एउटा त प्री ग्याङ्ग्लियोनिक र पोस्ट ग्याङ्ग्लियोनिक फाइबर्स हुन्छ दिस प्री एन्ड द पोस्ट प्री ग्याङ्ग्लियोनिक हैज टु रिले अन द ग्याङ्ग्लियन we have studied in the autonomic nervous system. So how preganglionic fibers arise? It arises from the inferior salivatory nucleus of the medulla. It is present in the medulla, inferior salivatory nucleus present in the medulla. From there, a successive nerve is passes. What are those nerves? Tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve, tympanic plexus, lesser petrosal nerve. First of all, it arises from the medulla, that is from the inferior salivatory nucleus. From there, it passes successively through the tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve, tympanic plexus, and lesser petrosal nerve. And that lesser petrosal nerve, it relay in the otic ganglion. Otic ganglion. Now, from the otic ganglion, postganglionic fibers arise. That postganglionic fibers is the auriculotemporal nerve. So via the auriculotemporal nerve, it reaches in the gland. It reaches to the gland. Auriculotemporal nerve. So it supplies the parotid gland. Clear? And the sympathetic also, it runs around the external carotid artery and reaches the gland via the superior cervical ganglion of the sympathetic trunk. Superior cervical ganglion of the sympathetic trunk. You know both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic has the pre and the post ganglionic fibers. So for the parasympathetic, it arises from the inferior salivatory nucleus of the medulla. It passes successively through the tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal, tympanic plexus, lesser petrosal, and relay into the otic ganglion. From there, the auriculotemporal nerve reaches the parotid gland. Sympathetic, it is present around the external carotid artery and the postganglionic fibers. It reaches the gland via the superior cervical ganglion of sympathetic trunk. Parotid gland, it is clear to all of you. Yes or no? Give answer.
Yes, ma'am.
You people are enjoying this online classes, huh? Understanding.
Yes,
It is-
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Next class, submandibular, the sublingual gland.